Okay, here I want to talk about the enlargement and reduction of a given plane figure. How you can enlarge and reduce a given plane figure. Here is a pentagon, that is a five-sided polygon which is irregular, as you can see. So I want to show you how you can enlarge this figure into a particular ratio. For example, I want to enlarge this figure into 3:5. So I'm using 3:5 here now. So 3:5. So 3:5 is the enlargement. So we are enlarging this figure as shown here. So the steps that you need to follow is as follows, as I'm going to explain it here. Now, what you need to do now, so the highest value here is 5. The highest value is 5. So what you need to do is that you take your compass and you extend to any convenient radius. Extend it to any convenient radius, and on this line PQ, which has already been extended, so I want to make it thick so that you can see it. Okay, so you take your compass now and extend to any convenient radius. Extend to any convenient radius as I've done it here. This is it. So put your compass at this point and make 5 arcs on this line as I'm going to show it here. So let me reduce it a bit. So this is 1. Here is 1. Then here is 2. So this is 3. This is 4. And this is 5. Okay, so you number this. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so the next thing that you need to do is that you bisect the distance between P and 3. Bisect the distance between P and 3. So the polygon is labeled PQRST. So we bisect the distance between P and 3. So what we want to do is that we want to construct a semicircle. So for us to construct a semicircle between point P and point 3 here, we need to locate the midpoint of P and 3. So that's why we need to bisect it. So I'm going to pause the video. I will bisect the distance between P and 3. Then I will construct the semicircle, and I will also bisect the distance between P and 5. And then I will construct the semicircle. So after that, I will come back and explain the remaining part of this. Okay, so I've bisected the distance between P and 3, and this is the bisector. This is the line. This line is the line that divided the distance between P and 3 into 2 equal parts. So I label this point where the bisector touch the distance between P and 3. I label it X, and then I've also bisected the distance between P and 5, and this is the bisector. So it touch the distance between P and 5 at this point. So I will call this point, I will call it Y. Okay, so the next thing that you need to do now, I've not constructed the semicircle, but I'm going to construct it now after what I'm going to do now. So from point Q here, draw a perpendicular line. So just draw a vertical line down. Here is it. Draw it down like this. It's okay like this. Okay. Now, after doing this, the next thing that you need to do is to draw the semicircle. So I said the midpoint of distance P and 3 is this point X here, where the bisector touch is distance between P and 3. So put your compass there and extend the compass to 3, or you extend it to P as I've done here. Here is it. So draw a semicircle. like this. So the semicircle will end at P. So this is the semicircle. Okay, so the next thing is put your compass at point Y. That is the midpoint of P and 5. So extend your compass to 5, to point 5. And then draw a semicircle. So the semicircle will also end at P, as you can see it here. Okay, now if you look at the semicircle, let me call this point, let me call this perpendicular line, let me call it line, that is the perpendicular line that we drew from Q down here. So let me call it QA. So QA. Okay, so now the semicircle that we drew between point P and 3, it touched this perpendicular line QA at this point. So I will call this point, I will call it 3 prime. Okay, then the semicircle that we drew between point P and 5, it touched this perpendicular line QA at this point. So I will call this point, I will call it 5 prime. Okay, so don't forget that what we are doing is that we want to enlarge this figure into 3:5. That is what we want to do. Okay, now after you have done all that I said now, the next thing that you need to do is that you join P and 3 prime, join them together with a straight line, as I'm going to do here. This is it. So join this together. This is it, with a straight line. And then you take your set square, set your set square on this line that connects P and 3 prime together. Set it like this. Support it with your ruler, as you can see how I'm doing it here. Support it with your ruler like this. And you shift the set square while you hold the ruler down. Shift the set square to point 5 prime like this. So I believe you can see it. Then draw a straight line. So the straight line touch the extended line. This extended line, it touch it at this point. So this is the point. So this point now will now be our P1. So this is our P1 now. So this point is point P1. So this is point P1. Okay, for the enlargement, for the enlarged figure. So this is P1. So the next thing that you need to do now is that you take your set square, set it along this line PT like this. But before that, I need to tell you something. From this point Q here, from point Q, draw a straight line passing through point T, passing through point S. So that of R has already been drawn, or you can extend it a little bit, as I'm going to show you. Just look at the way I'm going to do it. So from point Q, so draw a straight line passing through point T. This is it. So you pass through point T and it goes like this. So that's okay. Then you do the same thing. From point T, draw a straight line passing through, from point Q, draw a straight line passing through point S. This is it. And then you can extend that of point R from Q. Just draw a straight line like this. So it's okay. It's okay. So I believe you can see. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that, so you take your set square, set it along line PT, as you can see it here. So set it like this and put your set square, your ruler, put it under it. Then you shift the set square to point P1. So shift to point P1 and you draw a straight line. So draw a straight line like this. So wherever it touches on this line that we produced from Q passing through point T, wherever it touches here, so this is point T1. So this is T1. Then you also set your set square, set it on line TS like this. Set it on line TS, as you can see it here. So set it on line TS and shift the set square to point T1. So wherever you touch on point T1, draw a straight line like this. So wherever you touch on this line that will produce from point Q passing through T, so this point here is point S1. So this is S1. Then you set your set square along line RS like this. So set it like this and support it with your ruler. Then you shift the set square so I need to see this point. I need to see this point. So this is it. Okay. So I need to see that point S1. So that's why I moved my my ruler up. So then you shift the set square to point S1 like this. So when you get to S1, you stop it there and then you draw a straight line. So meeting this line. So it meets this line that we produce from point Q that pass through point R. So it meets it at this point. So this is point R1. So then we also make this line QR1. So we make it thick like this. Then so point QP1 will also be made thick. All right, so what we have done here is that we have enlarged this figure PQRST into 3:5. So the enlarged figure is P1, Q, R1, S1, and T1 is the enlarged figure. So that's what we have done here. So the next thing that I want to show you is that how you can reduce this figure into 5:3. So take note of the proportion. Take note of the proportion. So this is 5:3 is talking about reduction. Is reduction. While 3:5 is enlargement. So please take note of that. So we want to reduce this figure into 5:3. That's what we want to do. So the same steps is what we are following, the same steps that we used here. It's just deduction is what I'm going to show you. So as we did in the enlargement, so what you need to do now is that, so you take your, so let me make this line thick so that we can see it. So that I can see it here. Okay. So take your compass, make 5 arcs. So this is labeled A, B, C, D, E. So that is the labeling that I did here. Okay. Then put your compass at point B here and extend to any convenient radius. Make 5 arcs on this line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is the 5th one. Okay, so if I number this, so this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, so this is 4, and this is 5. So I've numbered it. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that, so draw a perpendicular line from B. Draw a perpendicular line from B. So draw a perpendicular line. So let's call this perpendicular line, let's call it BP. So BP. So the next thing is that we are going to bisect distance between A and 3. So bisect a distance between A and 3. So please pay attention so that you can know the difference between the enlargement and reduction. So what we are doing here is reduction. So by saying a distance between A and 3 to locate the midpoint of A and 3. So put it at 3 here. And okay, so the next is, so draw the bisector. Okay, so this is the bisector. So the bisector meets the distance between A and 3. It meets at this point. Let me call this point, let me call it point X. So this is point X. Then by say distance between A and 5. So put at 5 here. And okay, so draw the bisector. Okay, so this is it. So it meets the distance between A and 5. To meet at this point, I'll call it Y. So that is point Y. So the next thing that you need to do is to take your compass, so put it at X here and extend it to 3. Extend it to 3, then draw a semicircle. So the semicircle goes like this. So it will end at here. So this is it. So the next is put it at Y and extend it to 5. Extend it to 5 here and draw a semicircle like this. So the semicircle will also end at A, as you can see it here. Okay, so now the semicircle that we drew between A and 3 touch this perpendicular line BP here. It touched at this point, and I will call this point, I will call it 3 prime. So the semicircle that we drew between point A and 5, it touched the perpendicular line BP at this point. I will call it 5 prime. So don't forget that what we are doing here is reduction. We have done enlargement. So what we are doing now is a reduction, and we are reducing into 5:3. That's what we are doing. So the next thing that we need to do now is that join A and 3 prime together with a straight line. Okay, sorry. So join A and 5 prime together. A and 5 prime, join them together with a straight line. Here is it. So unlike that of enlargement, that we join P and 3 prime together first. So for the reduction, you join A and 5 prime together first. So the next thing that we are going to do now is that, so you take your set square, set it along this line, along line A5 prime. So set it like this. So set it like this, and then so set it like this. So then you move the set square, move it to point 3 prime. As you can see it here, move it to point 3 prime. So now it has gotten to point 3 prime. So draw a straight line. So the straight line meets the distance between A and A and B. It meets it at this point. So I will call this point, I will call it A1. So I will call it A1. So the next thing that we are going to do is that from point B here, so draw lines through point E, D, and C, though that C is not compulsory. So draw a line like this. Also draw a line through point D like this. So you can leave this one, so it's not compulsory. So this is reduction. So the next thing that you need to do is that, so you take your set square, set it along set it along line AE. As you can see it here, set it along this line AE. As you can see it here. Then you support it with your ruler. Then you shift the set square, shift it inward to point A1. This is point A1. Then you draw a straight line from here. So this is point E1. This is point E1. Then, so you take your set square, set it along ED or DE. So you set it like this and support it with your ruler, and you shift this set square inward. So draw a line from E1, meeting the line that will produce, or the line that connects B and D together. So meeting at this point. So this is point D1. So this is point D1. So the next is set your set square along CD like this. Set it along this CD like this. And then you shift the set square inward. So when you get to point D1, so you stop it and you draw a straight line like this. So the straight line meets this line. So it meets at this point. So this is point C1. So this is point C1. So now, so the reduced figure is A1, B, A1, B, C1, D1, and E1 is the reduced figure. So this is how you can enlarge and reduce a figure into a given proportion. So please take note of the ratio that you are given, or the proportion you are given. When, if it is enlargement, you will have the lower one. That is, as we have 3:5 here. So the smaller one comes first, followed by the bigger value. So while for the reduction, the bigger value comes first, followed by the smaller value. So it's as simple as I've explained it here. Practice. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not subscribed, so that whenever I upload videos, you will be notified. And share these videos with friends who are technical drawing or engineering students. And I see you at the top. God bless you. Thank you very much.